we also have on Jason's list on what to look out for this fall as you track Oklahoma football would be 5 freshmen to watch in regards to immediate impact on a team that's going to make a run for the Big 12 and beyond.
Yeah, so I'll start with the defense and talk about a guy that we just talked about. There was a question to Alex Grinch in the press conference yesterday who asked some of the freshmen on the defensive side that might get some work in and might be a big part of what they're doing in it. And it wasn't Mark. It was very quick. He didn't have to think about it. 2 seconds in, Billy Bowman was the first guy that he talked about. So he's a guy that started in the spring game, played a lot, was matched up with Marvin Mims and held his own, held him to 3 catches. So, played really well in that. And I think Grinch was, I think he was trying to temper his enthusiasm for him, but he talked about he's really never seen a guy come in quickly, and play as well as he did in the spring. And not only that, but, kind of take to the weight program. Sometimes it takes freshmen a couple of years just to be as committed as they need to be in the weight room. And he was, really kind of gushed about his ability. So I think whether or not he starts at nickel, I think he'll play a lot. I think you'll see him in the return game a little bit as well, maybe kickoff and punts. But I think you'll see him a lot. So I think that's the name, one of the biggest names on defense. Another guy that I've heard a lot about, wasn't here in the spring, linebacker Denny Stutzman is a guy that Grinch and anyone that I've talked to, anybody that I've heard, he's a guy that they talk about is a guy that's going to be in the mix in the linebacker room. He's, even not coming in the spring, he's a guy that is just a monster in the weight room. I said that Grinch had talked about him, just coming in, he threw up 225 pounds 20 times, and something as a new guy coming in, that was impressive. He's a gym rat. He's an incredible workhorse from what I've heard. So I think he'll be a guy that'll be in the mix. Not sure if he'll, be good enough to or be able to unseat some of those guys that they have there at the linebacker position, specifically the depth that Oklahoma has there. But he's a guy that you can keep your eye on. And then moving to the offensive side of the ball, Caleb Williams is a guy. I know that he's the backup quarterback and he's very clearly the number 2 guy, but don't be surprised if Oklahoma, certainly getting him in some mop-up duty for the year, but wouldn't be surprised to see him, put him in some situations. Spencer Rattler's not he's not as mobile as a Kyler Murray, and maybe not even as much of a Baker Mayfield, but Caleb Williams is that guy. He is very clearly a dual threat. Wouldn't be surprised to see him put in some packages, especially in some big games, to just kind of get him on the field a little bit. Mario Williams is another guy who, from a freshman perspective, has had an excellent summer. Came in in the spring and played well. Had 3 or 4 catches in the spring game. Look for him to make a move in that wide receiver room because I think one of the things Oklahoma just needs a few guys. They've got a lot of talent there, but they've got to have a few guys that come out and be dependable targets. This next year. I mean, the one guy that is a given is Marvin Mims, but the other guys are a little bit unproven. So if Mario Williams is able to do that and be that guy, I think that'll be big for Oklahoma. And there's one additional guy that I had forgot to mention on the defensive side is Kelvin Gilliam on the defensive line is a guy that came in late. I've heard a lot of really good things about him in terms of the summer. He said in terms of what he's done, in terms of that summer program and just being ready. He's physically ready to play immediately. So I think it's one of those things if he's good enough as from a talent, he's catching on to what Colin Thibodeau is teaching from the defensive line perspective. And another bonus guy that I'll throw in here, not sure, I've started to hear some rumblings about him. Not sure where he'll be able to be in terms of playing time, but Savion Byrd is another kid that came in here in the summer, who's went through the summer conditioning program, but is a guy that's He's very, very strong. I think they feel like his strength is a big, not sure where the footwork looks, but I think that's another guy to keep in mind, specifically if Oklahoma finds themselves in some depth injury issues on the offensive line at some point this year.